So let's talk about how to host rental properties remotely. So first things first, managing a rental property from a remote location, it might seem really intimidating at first, but it is possible. And it's a strategy that can help you really grow and, most importantly, diversify your portfolio faster than you might expect. My name is Michael Crockett, and I run a short-term and mid-term rental property management company called ArthouseABB. I've been doing this for about 7 years, and we do a few properties that are hosted remotely. So today, I'm going to share how we do that. First, let's start with the big question. Why would you want to host a property remotely? Well, the first reason, and maybe even the most important reason, is that it's a great way for you to diversify your portfolio. And what that means is basically not having all your eggs in basket, right? Not having all your main drivers for revenue in one place. So instead of being limited to just one market or one location for short-term rentals or mid-term rentals, you'll be able to explore new opportunities and take advantage of a different real estate market, right? Different markets in many different places. So it opens up more possibilities, right, for growth, whether it's finding properties in a higher demand area, a more sought out places for guests to go to, or investing in places with fewer regulations, right? Because we all know that regulations are a big factor when figuring out where you want to run your Airbnb. But by managing properties remotely, you won't just be a host anymore. It's important to understand that you'll be a business owner with a much broader reach. So now usually when people like you hear about the concept of hosting properties remotely, they wonder if it's a normal thing for hosts to do, right? Usually when people like you hear about the concept of hosting properties remotely, they usually wonder if it's normal for hosts to get to a point where they feel like they have to, host properties remotely or far away from where they live. How do you know when it's time to take that step, right? How do you know if hosting remotely is the thing that you should do in your business? Why would that even be necessary to do that, right? Why would you even have to think about hosting somewhere that you're not? Well, I already kind of mentioned it, but as a host of a business, right, as a business owner, diversification should always be a key factor in how you make your goals and how you pivot and move in your business. This means going into new markets and not limiting yourself to what's comfortable or close by. This is a big concept here, breaking your desire to be comfortable. That's an important thing that you have to do as a business owner. You have to be able to pivot and move to grow and expand your business. You have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable again. And as a side benefit of that, it also helps you remove yourself from the day-to-day operations of your business, which is critical in expansion. I used to do all this stuff myself in my business, and it led me to exhaustion. I had no time again, which is what I was trying to get away from my corporate work when I started this business. And I just was really tired. So you need to separate yourself from the day-to-day tasks so that you can focus on other things designed or geared toward growing your business. And scaling, right? You don't just want to have 1 or 2 rentals forever. You want to be able to have 5, 10, 20, 30, so on and so forth. You want to grow and scale. So if you're serious about growth, right, you need to stop working in your business and you need to start working on it. You probably heard that from someone else before, and the reason why is because it's true. You cannot be working in your business if you expect it to grow. You have to work on it. And in this case, that means hosting properties, that aren't right in your backyard, that you can't physically touch when you need to or when you want to. You're gonna have to rely on processes that you've built or people that you've trained to actually run that business, to run that short-term or mid-term rental for you. And you're not gonna be able to go there. You're not gonna be able to knock on the door. You're not gonna be able to go fix the water heater or replace the linens that got soiled. You're not gonna be working in any of that. You're gonna be working on your business and on your growth. So you're gonna have other people do that for you. So what's one step to getting started with hosting properties remotely, right? Hosting properties that you can't touch, that you can't work in. The simple answer is to build processes that can be managed from anywhere, right? I kind of alluded to this. You need to understand a process, build that process out, and then have someone run that process that is not you. So now this does require you to go through some trial and error, right? To figure out what works best and what doesn't. So you're probably going to run the process yourself first that you're building. You're going to figure out what doesn't work, what does work, make some adjustments so that it does work. And then once you've gotten all the way through to the very end of that process and you reach success, then you know it's ready to go somewhere else, right? To go to someone else. You're gonna have to identify every single task that can be handed off to someone else, both virtual tasks and tasks that need to be completed in person, right? By a person, again, not you. But once you've got these processes in place, managing a remote property becomes much more feasible because it's just a matter of sharing those systems, those processes, right, with the necessary team members or employees to expand, right? So if you have someone who's doing communications, right, or coordinating some maintenance work, part of that's going to be virtual, right? The communication with the guests, the communication with the handyman that's going to be doing the actual work on the property. The physical in-person work is going to be done by the handyman, right? The person, sometimes we in this industry, we say boots on the ground. The person who is actually going to go to the property and perform the work. So that's two people involved in that process, not you, right? Step 2 is to figure out which tasks can be done remotely and which ones need to be handled by someone near the property. So I kind of already mentioned this. The maintenance person, right? Did the boots on the ground, the person who can actually go to the property, fix the toilet, repair the broken light, change the light bulbs, fix the curtain that fell, all that kind of stuff, physical. He can go, she can go to the property. It's really critical to build relationships with those people, the boots on the ground, because they're going to be the people who are going to show up to the property when something needs to be addressed, right, fixed or put back into place, not you. On the other hand, virtual tasks like scheduling and communications, that can be done by anyone, right? Even if they're not in, you're in your same neighborhood, or if they're in a different city altogether from the property. It doesn't matter, because communication, they can do the texting, they can do the calls, they can coordinate the communication part of that physical work that needs to be done on the property. Trust me, they can do it. You're not trusting them. Oftentimes people use like virtual assistants, or VAs, what we call them. These are people who are specifically, their tasks are to handle all virtual work, right? Everything that's centered around communication, they pretty much can handle. One of the biggest obstacles is that you don't always have eyes on the property, right? You're not gonna be able to see every single property that you have in your business at all times. You're relying on others to take care of things that you might prefer to handle yourself. You're also going to have to find people, right, that you can trust. Trust is going to be a big part of this relationship, especially when you're not physically present. And of course, if you haven't perfected or standardized your process, you're going to have a hard time managing everything from afar. But if you can be a resilient enough person, a resilient enough host, a resilient enough business owner to make it through these obstacles, the rewards are definitely worth it, right? You'll grow and expand your business quickly because you're not tied down to one location, right? You'll also be less likely to get caught up in the day-to-day tasks of maintaining the property, which frees up your time and your energy to focus on growing your business, scaling. Plus, hosting remotely will force you to build relationships, both with people that you can trust, people that are actually available when you're not, right? Which is invaluable in the long run. I've met several operators and Airbnb investors who host properties remotely, and let me tell you, they're doing it successfully, and they are continuing to do it successfully. And the reason why they succeed is because they put a lot of work into automate and standardize systems. That's just as simple as it is. They've already developed processes that work no matter where the property is located, and they plugged in the right people into those systems, into those processes to keep everything running smoothly. So if I really boil it down to just like a few things that are core and important to remote hosting, it would just be to run it the same way, or develop a system and run it the same way every time. That's it. Use the network that you built, the people that you met, right? The relationships that you've established, and make sure that your systems are solid and they can be applied to any property anywhere. Consistency it's key, kind of like the hotels, they give people a consistent experience. Consistency is what drives success. When you're not on site, it's even more important to be consistent, right? And it frees you up from having to be able to oversee every single little detail, right? Build a process, have someone run it, and be done with it. For myself, I'm constantly working on developing systems that allow me to be 100% hands-off, sometimes 99.99%, but I'm striving for 100%. And these systems rely more on software and automation than on people, which really reduces the chances of human error, which is also a factor, and ensures that everything runs smoothly. The more you can automate, the better off you'll be. And once you've got a solid foundation, you'll be ready to take on remote properties with confidence. So with the right systems, you can scale your business, diversify your portfolio, ultimately achieve your growth goals, all while managing everything from a distance. And if you need help getting started with this, building systems, finding your first rental, anything, then shoot me a message. Let's set up a free call and I'll help guide you in the right direction.